Ahead of the newest chapter regarding the quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals, there's only one thing that can be said. Here goes nothing. Let's discuss.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Cardinals, Alex Clancy here. Listen, man, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen, free wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. So, keys to victory, always on a Friday before game day, final segment. The defense has to lead like they have been for more chunks of the season than not. And really, this is a here goes nothing mentality. And I say that not flippantly. I say that with substance, and I say that as the biggest superpower the Arizona Cardinals have for the rest of the season. Trust me, there will be clarity by the end of the show. Today's episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Jacoby Brissett. First start as the soft opening to the auditorium of the new starter for the Arizona Cardinals. Let's just take a second. Okay. Kyler on IR. I'm assuming that's a wrap for him with this organization. It still feels a little weird. For many, this is a long time coming. For many, this is, well, this should have happened years ago, blah, 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 whatever. It feels like a breakup, kind of, because it is. It wasn't a toxic relationship. It was one where people wanted different things. Maybe some wanted kids, some didn't. Maybe some wanted to travel and another wanted to kind of, stay home and build a business. It wasn't toxic. It just didn't work. And there's fault on both sides. I mean, initially, and I still, to a pretty significant point, believe that the Cardinals failed Kyler Murray because they failed everybody for the most part, outside of Larry Fitzgerald and a handful of others. So Kyler, of course, had something to do with it, and the institution that's failed was here before the guy that never lost a game in high school and, was all-world everything, Heisman Trophy winner, whatever. That's not giving Kyler Murray a pass on his play over the 7 years that he was the quarterback, 6 full ones, I guess, with his ACL for half and then, half this year. It wasn't toxic. It just, they wanted different things. So now you pivot to Jacoby Brissett, 32 years old. People talk about him like he's 50. Okay. Quarterbacks are playing till they're 40. Okay. So Jacoby Brissett has just started. He's played well enough in his career to be a starter or to be a quarterback in the NFL with a paycheck for as long as he wants. As long as he wants. So the here goes nothing mentality is this. First of all, it's normally coined as like here goes nothing. We're flipping a coin for everything. Let's see what happens. Or here goes nothing. I don't know. You're starting Jacoby Brissett instead of Kyler Murray. It's like, all right. And on top of that, it's the toughest schedule for the rest of the season out of any team in the NFL. Cool. And then, so the offense has looked fine and then not good in the fourth. And then, they've lost 5 games by combined 13 points. Let it rip. It's going to be so much more difficult for the rest of the season. They got to play the Rams twice. They got to play the 49ers. They're playing the Seahawks again this weekend. They've got to play Tampa Bay. They got to play Atlanta. There are no simple games for the Arizona Cardinals moving forward. Let it rip. Like, there is power in that. Because truly, even though jobs may be on the line, that's something that I'm going to unpack much later when there's a lot more evidence regarding Drew Petzing. Okay. There's got to be a lot more empirical evidence with games back to back to back to back to be able to make any sort of determinant on Drew Petzing's future with this team. I know some people don't like to hear that, but it's like, what if Jacoby Brissett was the quarterback the whole time? Would people be lauding Drew Petzing? I know there's a lot of third and longs, okay? The right side of the offensive line is terrible. He's doing the best he can. He's converted many than he should have all more than what Kyler Murray would have converted. So it's not perfect, but just TBD with me. Okay, TBD with me on that. So while jobs technically could be on the line, just go. Restrictor played off. I've said all these cliches before. They quite literally have nothing to lose. And they could just tell the funniest story for the next several months and be the darling of the NFL. Listen, the proof has been there. The Cardinals very well should be 6-2 right now. I'm not saying that as like a homer. Like, if you've listened to me for a second, you know that that's definitely not where I come from. But I mean, I know that they didn't win the games, and I know that bad teams find ways to lose games they're supposed to win. I get it all. That doesn't negate the fact that they should be 6-2 right now. They should. Going up to Seattle to see who can take over the division. But they're not. So they quite literally have nothing to lose. And that's not minimizing people's jobs. That's not minimizing how much magic it's going to take to get through here. And this isn't some sort of rah-rah win one for the Gipper speech that I'm giving in this first segment either. Here Goes Nothing has power in it because you're truly playing with controlled, reckless abandon. And what better quarterback than a guy who can huck it, like Jacoby Brissett can? Kyler Murray 2-9 against the Seahawks in his career. Jacoby Brissett's 0-2. So, I don't know. Whatever you want to take that as. I don't even know when he played those. I just looked it up. I just know he's 0-2 in his career. Could have been when he was with Indy a long, long time ago. For Jonathan Gannon, for Drew Petzing, for the defense. Like, Nick Rallis, we saw a little of the prevent last week, and then we saw it clamp down against Dallas. So there was a little worrisome moments when they come down and score a touchdown to Flournoy or whatever the rookie's wide receiver is. It's like, oh, God, and then 3 and out. Oh, they're up 10. We've seen this before, and then turn up. It's freeing to be able to say this about an offense specifically. I mean, you look at the defense, we'll talk about in the next segment. Like, they gave up 23 points to Seattle when they weren't healthy. Pretty damn good for a team that's averaging 32 points a game. And I know there were some ballooned games where, they scored 100 points against New Orleans, so I know that it inflates. But you have 23 points with no Garrett Williams. Yeah, I don't think that this is going to be a game that's going to be a laugher at all. Jacoby Brissett is a good enough quarterback to keep you in any game. He is. Especially when there are almost 20 combined targets at Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr., it could even be more. It could even be more. The Here Goes Nothing approach is not frivolous. It's intentional. And also, it's the only way the Arizona Cardinals are going to make any sort of noise in the 2025 season. Everything is a long shot at this point. The game last week, the win last week, even though the defense was terrible, the Cowboys defense was terrible, showed that the Cardinals, they've been in every single game, all of these things that we've discussed, they've just got to figure out how to make that one extra impact play or avoid that one shot in the foot. And if you can turn over the opposing team, the Cardinals can win any game. Any given Sunday, the Cardinals can win any game. They are good enough, especially on defense when healthy. They can win any game. I'm fascinated. I'll talk about this in Keys to Victory, but I'm fascinated to see if this is going to be a 13-10 game or if it's going to creep into the 20s with both of these defenses playing out of their mind. Playing out of their mind on defense is a different definition now than it was in the 90s, in the early 2000s, where there are teams, 2000, like the 2000 Ravens, and where you're giving up 6 points a game, like SEC stuff back in the late 90s, early 2000s. That doesn't exist anymore. If you can hold a team to 23 points or less, you should win more games than you lose. So we'll see what happens with Jacoby Brissett in his first official soft opening start as the future quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals, at least for this season. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. The defense must lead. I think this is pretty obvious, but let's discuss what it's going to look like next. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by Mint Mobile. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for just $15 a month, man. Mint makes it simple. All plans come with high-speed internet and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your own phone and keep your same phone number and contacts. Like, you see no switch except for who you're paying the bill to. Ready to make a change? Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNFL. That's mintmobile.com/LockedOnNFL. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time new customers offer for the first 3 months. Only speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on limited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Today's episode of Locked On Cardinals is also brought to you by Game Time. NFL season's here. We're chilling. We're having a great time. And honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium, surrounded by the fans. You hear the buzz of the crowd, cheering, all the stuff like that. You've been to games, but let's be honest. Getting tickets can be a hassle. Between queues, login screens, prices jumping at checkout. It's frustrating. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Game Time's fast, easy, backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. Download the Game Time app, create an account. You code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, man. YouTube channel, search Locked On Arizona Cardinals. Hit subscribe button. Notifications. Big dumb face. Yes. Squad show immediately following the game with Jamil Douglas, myself, and Ben Garcia. I didn't know that this was the definition of exciting that we were in for when I said this season's going to be exciting. I just don't know what it's going to look like. The Dallas Cowboys game was the first game where you, as a Cardinals fan or media member, whatever it is, were just able to enjoy a football game knowing the Cardinals were going to win. Even weeks 1 and 2, which seemed like, millennia ago. I don't know, I've taken Latin in a while. Multiple millenniums. You couldn't even enjoy those. Because the fourth quarter, you're grinding your teeth, biting your nails against two really bad teams. I mean, Carolina has shown to actually be a good team this year. It's funny. The Cardinals, Green Bay and Indy and Seattle already, and Tennessee, those Titans, they're real good. The defense needs to lead. And the ferocity by which they approached their game plan against Dallas needs to be the idle speed. What we saw against Dallas was a top 5 defense going up against the second best offense in football by points per game metrics this season. There's no weaknesses on this defense when everybody's healthy. If Walter Nol3n can be 70%, 75% of what he was in his first game in the NFL for the rest of the season, all bets are off. You got him and Calais and Dalvin Tomlinson there, and you can see every defensive tackle has a strength. Do you remember all the old heads like Neil remember this? NHL hockey 94 or 95. I think it was 94, 95, 93. It could have even been. I think it was for either Nintendo or Sega Genesis, where you could pick all skinny players, all medium-sized players, or all fat, large players. You had to pick one of the three. You can tell that Calais Campbell and Walter Nol3n, even though they're close in height, it's 30 pounds, whatever it is. Calais Campbell's taller. They're wildly different skill sets. Both elite. Obviously Walter Nol3n's his first game, but what we've seen in college and stuff, and Calais Campbell's been around 100 years. So, put those two together. It's how do you game plan for both? And then if you're able to keep them at bay, then you're leaving your right and left tackles out to dry one-on-ones with the edge rushers coming at them. Like, I don't think, especially the people who blame this season on the defense, while they've given up a lot of points in the fourth, go rewatch the games. The offense, it doesn't matter. We're not doing that again. This defense truly, especially if the corners can stay healthy, is a top 5 defense. And you add another vet pass rusher in the offseason, like a real one, to go along with Josh Sweat and Baron Brown. Like, this is a top 5 defense for years. Calais Campbell 100% would come back. So they've got to be the anchor. They must take the lead. And if what we saw this past week against Dallas is any sort of indicator in what we'll see moving forward, the offense won't have to be superhuman for the Cardinals to win a slew of games. That is just, I know for some of you it may be shocking, a rational viewpoint of what we're looking at right now. This offense could 100% fall off a cliff and Jacoby Brissett could turn into a pumpkin. Yeah, of course. We don't know. This is a brand new world that we're living in. We don't know what to think because we haven't seen it. When something becomes official, it changes things. It changes, little elements of it. I call it, and every day, you'll know this, I call it the Nate McMillan effect. Nate McMillan played in the NBA for a long time. Has been an assistant coach turned head coach multiple times. So whenever a head coach gets fired, he's on the bench. He takes over as the interim. He coaches and they win a bunch of games when he's the interim. He gets a contract extension. They're okay for a bit, and then they stink, and then he gets fired. There's that new car smell for anybody who's in charge, who wasn't in charge before, and in charge of, the football field would be the quarterback. So we'll see if Jacoby Brissett can last through the honeymoon phase, last through defensive coordinator scheming for Kyler Murray all offseason, and then now a new quarterback comes in with a completely different skill set. We'll see if the new car smell wears off or Jacoby Brissett found an offense that caters to exactly what he's good at. And they have the pass catchers to be able to maximize what Jacoby Brissett is good at, regardless of if the run game is existent or not. Like, if the Cardinals win on Sunday, we're having different conversations. We're having what-if conversations. It can't be they lose by 3. There's no moral victories. There never are, but especially now. But if they win on Sunday and the defense shows out and the offense does enough, 3-6 is out, 4-5 is 3-6 is out, 4-5 is maybe. Especially against a division opponent. There's no way they're winning the division. But it's already like the NFC is a powerhouse this year. So the Cardinals, quite literally, can maybe lose 2 more games this year if they want to make the playoffs. So they got to win 7 out of their next 9. So there's no moral victories. There's no, oh man, if. But if the defense shows up like they did, and the offense can do just enough against a very, very difficult defense to maneuver around, we're having different conversations. This is kind of the fever pitch. This is the tipping point. This is the boiling point. 212 degrees Fahrenheit science. I think I could have looked really stupid right there. I promise I'm not stupid all the time. If they get there and you can get a dub and you can steal one against Seattle, different things will be discussed. And if they do, that means the defense shut down yet another top offense in back-to-back weeks. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. What are the keys to victory? Spoiler alert, the first one's going to be turnover battle, but there's a couple others. So you have to wait for those. Gosh. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss out on any excitement of this sports season, whether you're following the NFL, NBA, or both. There's no better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried it yet, Prize Picks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play anywhere PrizePicks operates, including California, Texas, Georgia, etc. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. So listen, I mean, we're long shot in here for sure. But a good defense can keep any team in any game. Hashtag analysis. If you score more points than the other team, most likely you're going to win. Hashtag analysis. Try to give me a break. So the keys to victory, there's one, which I'll talk about on offense. I'll do that last. The turnover battle, it's more like with a good, say the Cardinals can replicate 80%, 90% of what they did against Dallas, okay? And you're able to force Sam Darnold to a couple bad throws or put in the ball on the ground, whatever. If the Cardinals can win the turnover battle by 2 or 3 or something insane like that, Cardinals win this game. This is, unfortunately, the no margin for error thing is so absolute that the Cardinals cannot turn the ball over and they must take the ball away from opposing teams for the rest of the season. They've got to have a wildly in the plus takeaway plus minus. They should have had 5 against Dallas. 5's a lot. And the ones that they had were impactful. I know the interception to seal the game was, I know it was kind of a Hail Mary ball and Denzel Burke came down with it. But there was no doubt that Cardinals offense or that Cardinals defense was up for the challenge, and they absolutely stole the show in Dallas. So moving on, it's turnover battle. There's no room for error. There just isn't. And it's not fair, but that's where we're at. I really if you go back-to-back weeks, Will Johnson and Garrett Williams, I know they were defending different guys at different times. Denzel Burke, too. Denzel Burke was rated super highly this past week. If Will Johnson and Garrett Williams can shut down this pass attack in some form or fashion like they did against Dak, CD and George Pickens had a couple chunk catches, but it wasn't much. And Jake Ferguson had one of his worst games. I mean, I know he had a handful of receptions, but wasn't great. So if they can do that on the road, defense travels, okay? Defense travels. So if they can muddy this game up and keep Jackson Smith-Njigba under 100 yards and 8 catches or something like that, which I'm sure they're going to force this team to run the ball. I would assume that that's the game plan. Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker haven't been fantastic this year on the ground. I would assume that they're going to try and force them to run the ball. And now the Cardinals have the ammo in the secondary to be able to facilitate that. Will it work? Don't know. Jackson Smith-Njigba is really good at football. Torrey Horton, their rookie's really good at football already. He's got 5 touchdowns, I think. They're not stacked. They just got Rashid Shaheed, who's a speed demon. So deep balls going off over the top. The Cardinals cannot give up big plays. And that goes in line with forcing them to run the ball. This is going to be a big test for Garrett Williams. I mean, not for Will Johnson, Max Melton, Denzel Burke, the outside guys. We'll see if they use the 3 safety set where Max Melton or where Will Johnson and Garrett Williams play on the outside with Jalen Thompson coming down to the slot. We'll see, but I would say key to victory, force them to run the ball. I mean, they ran. I think they ran for over 150 yards in week 4. Force them to run the ball, absolutely. And then finally on offense, between 20 and 25 targets to Marvin Trey combined. It's simple. Run the play. Same play. Run it. Same play. So, I mean, that's it. That is absolutely the way the Cardinals can get a dub. It's just got to be close. It's just got to be close. And the defense needs to play 4 full quarters like they did this past week. And hopefully the offense won't be sleepwalking through 3 quarters like they were on Thursday Night Football in week 4. It's where they had to have some Herculean effort to score 20 points and, still lose. Turn the ball over or force takeaways. Make them run the ball, Marvin Trey, until your arm falls off. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Reminder, after the game, I will be going live for 15 minutes or so, and then immediately following that will be the Cardinals squad show. I will be doing my Q&A. Sorry, I something came up this past week, so apologies for that. I will be doing my Q&A tomorrow at 12 o'clock for about 15 minutes, half an hour, something like that. I don't really have a game plan, so join me. Remember, without you, there is no me. I will talk to you tomorrow for Q&A, and then immediately following the game. Talk to you then.